everyone, I'm Ryan with Fireside Yankees, and in today's video we got a special episode for you guys. It is a mailbag episode. We fielded questions on Twitter, and for those who used the hashtag FSY, I thank you. For those who didn't and still replied, I'm going to feature questions anyways. I'm not going to hold you to that standard in the first time we do this, so, moving forward, we're going to limit it to just the hashtag AskFSY, just to make sure we have, an easy way to filter through and search for these replies. If you guys like these videos, and if this video gets over 150 likes on YouTube, we'll open it up so that the comment section on YouTube can also ask questions. So if you don't have Twitter, if you aren't following us on Fireside Yankees or on my personal account at Ryan Garcia ESM, you can still ask questions through the YouTube. But again, only if this video gets over 150 likes. So if you want this opened up to YouTube, make sure to smash that like button if you enjoyed today's content. But without further ado, let's get into today's mailbag, because we got a ton of fun questions. Let's get started with a question from @StegenSurvivor, and he asks, in a world where Cody Bellinger has a great season, and considering other tough decisions that can come on the road down the road when it comes to roster constructions, would you look to keep him? Now, I'm going to be steadfast in the answer that the Yankees should go after Kyle Tucker this offseason. I think Cody Bellinger has a chance to be a very high-impact player for the New York Yankees, but I also recognize that Kyle Tucker is the better player. Kyle Tucker can win an MVP. Cody Bellinger, it's kind of like you'd be happy to get 4 WAR from him, and that's overperforming his projections. So, Kyle Tucker's a different caliber player. Kyle Tucker's a top 10 position player in Major League Baseball. He is one of the few players who has that well-rounded nature to their game. He's someone who can hit, 35 to 40 home runs, play great defense, steal 30 bases. Like, he is such a darn good player. So it would take a season of epic proportions and Cody Bellinger outplaying Kyle Tucker for me to even consider not signing Kyle Tucker to then sign Cody Bellinger, or of course Kyle Tucker deciding that he does not want to be a New York Yankee. If he has a pivot plan, sure, but I want Kyle Tucker. Moving on to the next question from @Anashi_Maps24, and I apologize, I butchered the name. You can correct me in the comment section or just DM me. I know we follow each other, so just DM me. Seeing how the Yankees promoted Carlos LaGrange into high A, despite mediocre numbers in low A, do you believe they're trying to fast track him to the big leagues, or just love what they saw from him in spring? So, I love Carlos LaGrange and what I saw from him in the backfields. I was someone who was more skeptical of him going into spring training, and then when we flew down to Tampa, and we got to see him in the spring breakout game, I saw a right-hander who was consistently attacking the zone with 99 to 100 mile per hour fastballs, who could throw 2 different kinds of sliders, one more of a sharp kind of gyro-y slider, a combination between a cutter and a slider almost, a hard changeup, and then a big sweeping slider. I saw someone who looked like a pitcher. I didn't see someone who was just like a wild thrower, kind of just banking on the velocity with not great fastball shape. I was looking at someone who I'm like, fastball shape doesn't matter here. This guy's pumping 100 in the zone. Right? So, I was really impressed with that. Seeing him healthy, seeing the Yankees aggressively promote him, yeah, those are positive signs. Those are positive signs that are indications that the Yankees really like what they saw in spring. And if the Yankees are aggressive with prospect promotions or the prospect promotion, it's usually a pretty good sign of what the Yankees view of that prospect and what that prospect may end up becoming. So, great question, and big fan of Carlos LaGrange. 2 thumbs up going into 2025. From @NYSportsFan Kush and Ethan, great friend of mine, great guy. What level of production would leave you satisfied from the third base position? So, that's a great question. I think it would have to be, understanding the talent in the room at third, like a 680 OPS and above average defense is kind of what I'm hoping for here, or I'm gunning for here, at least from this current group, and I say this current group is in the guys in-house. So, ideally, the Yankees trade for someone. I don't know if they're going to trade for a third baseman, but ideally they do, right? So, that's the ideal situation here. And if they do, then that number should hopefully go up. If they don't, then, that number won't go up. I know that's a very, kind of mundane answer. I'm trying to come up with a better way to put this, but, a 680 OPS, if you compare it to, league average numbers, That's the same OPS as like the Texas Rangers had last year. They had a 95 WRC plus. So they had a 686, 600, 680. I guess it's closer to 678 from the Marlins that had an 86 WRC plus. I wouldn't love it, but I'd be like, all right, with good defense, like this isn't a black hole position for us. This is just a pretty underwhelming one. But you know, that 90 WRC plus threshold would be nice. That 95 WRC plus threshold would be kind of nice. And then if you even got a 100, I mean, if you got a 100 from third base, I'd be beyond satisfied. So I'll say the number is a 90 WRC plus. So that's about a 685 OPS. Yeah, I'll take that. That's what I'll take. I'll say that that's pretty good given what you have at third. And if your offense hits enough around them, you should be able to score a lot of runs and win a lot of games. From @AdamG_6, do you think Aaron Judge is kind of in a no-win situation this regular season? If he performs as well as he did last year in 2022, his critics will say, who cares, do it in the playoffs. Meanwhile, if he regresses, those same people will say he's washed. So I think there is an element of truth to this, that Aaron Judge has nothing left to prove in the regular season. But I think from the standpoint of competing in 2025, the Yankees want Aaron Judge to still be great, because Aaron Judge being great gives them more wins. And if the Yankees win the AL East off an incredible Aaron Judge season, the story will be that without Juan Soto, without Garrett Cole, Aaron Judge led his team to an AL East crown, against all odds, above, teams like the Orioles and the Red Sox and the Rays and the Blue Jays, that he was still able to lead his team to being the best in the AL. That right there is still very important. And when we talk about the journey to winning a World Series, it starts by getting to the postseason. So, long story short, he doesn't have anything to prove in terms of, hey, is he going to be a Hall of Famer? Hey, is he an all-time great right-handed hitter? But he has something to prove in terms of, like, is he going to have a World Series? Is he going to be a ringless Yankee? Those are always going to be conversations that, you don't want to have follow him. And then, can he continue to carry this Yankee team to the postseason? Because that's still really important. Moving on, we have Muhammad here. Which starting pitcher on an expiring contract would you trade for by this year's trade deadline? And who would you make available? So, this is a phenomenal question. I think that it's a layered question because it also it's also a matter of who is available and which teams are bad. And that's really hard to figure out this time of year. So, for example, Nick Martinez is a universal free agent at the end of the year. Are the Reds bad? I don't even know. Are they going to be uncompetitive enough to sell off at the deadline? Is Nick Martinez going to be good enough to want at the deadline? A Framber Valdez would be an awesome player to get, but are the Astros really going to be bad by the deadline? I don't know. Dylan Cease, the Padres are off to a great start. I don't know if they're going to be bad. I don't really have interest in a Max Scherzer. I don't have that much interest in a Justin Verlander. And then, again, the Giants are off to a pretty good start. Are they going to sell off? And some of the other impending free agents include, Walker Buehler as a mutual option. You have other guys with mutual options, such as Brandon Woodruff, Shota Imanaga, Zach Eflin is a universal free agent, John Gray's universal free agent, Kodai Senga has an opt-out, Seth Lugo has a player option, Chris Bassett is a free agent. I don't know if anyone here is either A, on a bad team, or B, in a situation where they're going to hit free agency and, that I would really want them. So I don't know if there's a great answer in just the rental category, but the pitcher I'll mention here is Freddie Peralta, who is not a free agent at the end of the year, has a club option. He will be, I think, a free agent after 2026 or 2027. The Brewers are out to a bad start, and the Brewers are very aggressive with selling off pieces. I love Freddie Peralta. I think Freddie Peralta is one of the best pitchers in all of baseball. I think his stuff is ridiculously good. I was impressed with what I saw from him on opening day, even though he did surrender 2 home runs. And ultimately, I would love the New York Yankees to acquire him. And I'm making a good chunk of my farm system available to land him. If it takes George Lombard Jr., I may hesitate depending on Lombard's season. But outside of that, I would trade basically anyone because the Yankee farm system isn't particularly strong. There's not a lot of guys that you hang on to and you say, not trading them, or not trading you at all. So yeah, everyone but George Lombard Jr. I consider Jason at this point, he's a rookie and his prospect status is still intact, but he will graduate by the time the deadline reaches. So he obviously doesn't factor into the prospect equation, which is why I'm not saying, oh, I wouldn't trade Jason Dominguez for Freddie Peralta. I consider him the Yankees left fielder. I don't even consider him in trade talks anymore unless something unforeseen comes about. So Freddie Peralta, that's who I want, and I will make anyone but maybe George Lombard Jr. unavailable, depending on how Lombard is playing and how Peralta is pitching. From @Medic968, do you think the Yankees are committed to Jason Dominguez like they were to Volpe's rookie year? Yes. I think that pulling him late in games in the outfield is not an indication that they don't believe in him, but rather a strategic way to win ball games, and it's by having your best defensive alignment out there. The Yankees shouldn't hinder their chances of winning a ball game to prove a point or to prove to fans that they care or are invested in a player. The Yankees are going to let Jason Dominguez play every day. His starting job wasn't in question at all at any point during spring training, despite what Brian Cashman may have said. And he will play every single day. He will get the opportunity to, continue to build up himself, and I think he'll take this job. And he'll be the Yankee left fielder. The Yankees are giving him a lot of leeway. I don't even know if they like Trent Grisham enough to play him every day over Jason Dominguez. They didn't like him enough to play him every day over Alex Verdugo. So I don't think there's anyone challenging him for his job, and I don't think that the Yankees are interested in making Jason Dominguez a part-time player. I think they're very interested in him being a full-time starter. But again, we talk about having a lead and pulling him late defensively. That's just smart baseball. That's just putting yourself in a better position to win, which you should do regardless of the player out there. From @_24kin, does Kin know ball? Yes. Yes, he does. @Maya.exe, do you think there's any credence to the narrative about the balls being juiced again? More of a league-wide question. And I love league-wide questions. I love them. So, thank you for that. I think that it's too early to tell, but will say some of these batted balls are starting to get me a little bit. That Volpe home run yesterday, I was kind of like, that ball got out? 418? Like, my eyes were kind of like, okay. We'll keep eyes on that, right? We'll keep eyes on that. So I think it's too early, but I think that there's a couple of moments where I've been like, that ball got out? Interesting. From @Rick12_85, which pitching prospect will increase their prospect status the most in 2025? Now, I want to say Carlos LaGrange because we just talked about him, but in the interest of talking about someone else, I'm going to say Grayson Carter from Vanderbilt. Grayson Carter is being used as a starting pitcher, not a reliever. He has touched 103 miles an hour with Vanderbilt. When I saw him pitch in live batting practice, his breaking ball looked remarkable. He was able to, throw it low in the dirt, get that sharp drop off his four-seamer. He looked a little more comfortable attacking the zone and throwing strikes. Granted, that is in a live BP simulated game situation. That is not a real game situation. So, I think that aspect of this is very important to note. But I thought he looked very sharp mechanically. I love the fastball velo. The fastball shape isn't great, but kind of to the same tune of Carlos LaGrange. How much does fastball shape matter if you're throwing hard enough? That's, an important part of this conversation. And if the secondaries are good enough, yeah, the fastball is going to be fine. So, Grayson Carter, definitely a player I think could have his stock rise a ton, especially since, relative to hype, LaGrange's hype is already kind of building. I didn't name Ben Hess or Bryce Cunningham because there is some helium there. Grayson Carter didn't appear in a spring breakout or a spring training game, so there's no helium for him at all. So that's why I'm going to pick him. There's no helium for him. He was a 5th round pick, and the hype around him is very minuscule. I saw him pitch. I thought he looked really impressive, so why not? Go with him. Elmer Rodriguez Cruz would be another fun one, but again, there is some helium there, so I feel like I'm kind of riding a wave. And then I'll throw in another name here for fun. Brendan Beck is finally healthy, and I was really impressed with his secondaries. Not sure how the fastball velo is. It wasn't great when he was first back in 2023, so if that number is 90 to 92, I'm not going to be super high on a right-hander who throws 90 to 92, but if it's 92 to 93, it's still not great, but the secondaries are so good, I might be all in. So very elongated way of saying Grayson Carter's my main pick, Brendan Beck is my dark horse pick. From @DrewClugs, what's stopping Aaron Judge from having a 500 on-base percentage this season? Man, okay. I don't think that's his median outcome. I don't think that's his expected outcome. But I think it's scary how, I'm not sure it's impossible. and that's scary for other pitchers. For us, that's really good. Can't rule it out. Can't rule out a 500 OBP. Can't rule it out. From at MT_050, what will the Yankees do with DJ LeMahieu? I don't believe his injury season ending. I think they'll DFA him. I really do. I think the New York Yankees are going to DFA DJ LeMahieu at some point during the 2025 season. Maybe he comes back for a little bit, but he's getting DFA'd. He is. I don't think they think he's very good. I think that's kind of the thing here. I don't see where the New York Yankees are like DJ LeMahieu fans. I don't see it. Not in their actions. They put this guy on the IL. What was he injured with? He wasn't injured. He was healthy. He just wasn't good. They didn't want him on the roster. They Phantom IL'd the guy. They're going to slow play him back. This is going to be Josh Donaldson 2.0. The guy's going to get DFA at some point this year. From at Zachary Gold, Steve 4, will Aaron Judge hit 70 home runs this year? And is this the stretch he's on since last year the best ever? So I don't think Aaron Judge will hit 70 home runs. I don't. I think he's going to end up with around 50 to 55. But I do think you could argue that Aaron Judge is having the greatest stretch for any hitter in the post-integration era that has not been linked to steroids. So that's a very kind of lot of qualifiers and all that stuff in there. But those qualifiers and those asterisks do matter. You know, I'm not really the kind of guy to sit here and pretend like steroid baseball wasn't entertaining, but I also am not going to sit here and pretend to be the guy that would sit here and tell you that performance-enhancing drugs had no effect on player performance. They absolutely did. Barry Bonds would not have had as great of a career as he did without PEDs. He still would have been a Hall of Famer. Alex Rodriguez wouldn't have had as great of a career as he did without PEDs, although I still, again, believe he would have been a Hall of Famer. Aaron Judge is doing this without any known suspicion to performance-enhancing drugs. So, yeah, I think you could argue this is the greatest stretch by any hitter in the post-integration era. Because of the fact that he's doing it without PEDs, and I think that does matter, right? Like performance-enhancing drugs. Major League Baseball does not ban things that don't help players, right? So there is an actual impact that PEDs have on players, and I think that you could argue Aaron Judge is having the greatest stretch for a right-handed hitter ever. He had the highest WRC plus for a right-handed hitter who recorded at least 500 plate appearances in a single season ever. So yeah, this is definitely up there among the greatest stretches we've ever seen. Again, in the post-integration era and ruling out some of the PED guys. This is unprecedented territory. Like Aaron Judge getting pitched to like Barry Bonds. You think he was the first guy to ever get intentionally walked with the base empty in March in MLB history. No one draws fear the way Aaron Judge draws fear. So, yeah. We have another question from at NY Sports Fan Kush. Rank these players based on what you think their end-of-season weighted runs created plus will be. Jazz Chisholm, Jason Dominguez, Paul Goldschmidt, Cody Bellinger, and Austin Wells. I'm going to go with Jazz Chisholm first, Austin Wells second, Cody Bellinger third, Jason Dominguez fourth, and Paul Goldschmidt fifth. So I think Jazz will have like a 120. I think Wells will have a 115. I think Bellinger will have a 115. I think Dominguez will have around a 110. And I think Goldschmidt will have around a 105. So they're kind of conservative predictions, but understandably so. They look conservative because all of these guys are off to really good starts. But I'm not going to bite too hard into a 4-game sample size. So if those guys put up those numbers, the Yankee offense will be very good. So I just want to point that out as well. If that happens, the Yankee offense will be very, very good. At Zane's World HQ, which rookie do you think will take the biggest leap for the Yankees in 2025? So the rookies currently on the roster are Jason Dominguez and Will Warren. Ben Rice's prospect status has graduated, so he's disqualified from this because I would have picked him if you asked me. Jason Dominguez is probably the obvious pick. Oh, and Yoendrys Gomez is a rookie as well. He's on this roster. I think Brent Hedrick is also a rookie and on this roster. So they're not going to be my pick, but, you know, Hedrick's an interesting, like, kind of dark horse pick because he was so, like, just kind of he hasn't pitched at a big league level, and I've kind of been impressed with what I've seen early on. I'll say Jason Dominguez. I think Jason Dominguez is the obvious pick. Like, Jason Dominguez, I think, has the most upside of that group by a country mile. But if you want to talk about relative to preseason expectations or preseason hype, I'll say Brent Headrick, because Brent Headrick was DFA'd, and I actually think he has the makings of a good major league reliever. So, yeah. From at AR_BX, besides Rodon's newfound sinker, his newfound pitch, Leiter's splitter, and Devin Williams' changeup, who has the next best pitch on the current active roster? I think you could argue the best pitch on the current active roster is Fernando Cruz's splitter. Oh my God, is that pitch good? Like, that pitch is scarily good. That pitch is remarkable. It's one of the best pitches in the game. So, I'll go with Fernando Cruz's splitter. That pitch is stupid good. It doesn't make any sense that he can get the movement he can get on that pitch. I'm pretty sure it's the best splitter in baseball in terms of whiff rate and WOBA and batting average. And, like, I mean, look, yesterday was a, game you kind of flushed down the toilet. You don't want to remember that one, but I don't want to forget Fernando Cruz legitimately just ripping through the Diamondbacks like a hot knife through butter. Like, he dominated those guys. They didn't stand a freaking chance. I mean, that splitter is gross. I had chills watching that outing. He was remarkable. That splitter is truly one of the best pitches I've ever seen. And if he continues to pitch that way, oh my! I mean, he's going to be not just in the trust tree. He's going to be like one of the 3 or 4 best relievers in this bullpen. So when everyone's healthy, even. So yeah, I'm going to say Fernando Cruz's splitter, not close. Didn't really have to think about that one. That pitch is absolutely wicked. There are other candidates, but none of them just stand out to me in the pure level of dominance. Like, look, Weaver's changeup's really good. Hamilton's, I mean, he's on the active roster, but his slider's really good. The rotation, you've got, Rodon's slider should be, a pitch that gets thrown to this conversation of, like, better pitches on the roster. Will Warren's sweeper is a really darn good pitch. Max Fried doesn't have, like, one standout pitch, but he has so many above average pitches. That's kind of what hurts him here. Like, he has a wide mix instead of just one dominant pitch. Yeah, it's got to be Fernando Cruz. That splitter is the best pitch, I think, arguably, of that pitch category. And it's, like, I might throw in the top 10 pitches in Major League Baseball. That pitch is, oh my God, levels of good. But thank you so much for all the questions, everyone. If you want to be featured in this video, make sure, again, to be on the lookout for the Fireside Yankees or my personal Twitter account. And again, if this video gets over 150 likes, we'll open this up to a community post with a graphic and everything, make it look all pretty, that allows us to get YouTube questions as well. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you appreciated today's video, if you like today's content, like, comment, subscribe, and turn the notification bell to check out Fireside Yankees on all of your favorite social media platforms. Thank you again for tuning in, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great rest of your day, and let's go Yankees. Peace out.
Perfect.